Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Sunday's episode of Virtual Church. How the devil are you all? I hope you've had a really fabulous week. It was this time last week. We were sat here and I was saying hello, and I'll be sat here this time next week saying hello. But I hope in the past 7 days you've had a really great week, whatever you've been doing, working, relaxing, partying, whatever you've been up to. I hope it's been a good one for you. Please do say hello in the chat. Please do say hello in the chat. Let me know that you're in, and let everyone else know that you're in. We've got a lot to get through today. Crikey. Right, so even before we get to our top 5, we've got 14 items to get our way through here. That's hymns and organ music, all requested by you good selves, and some of them have been requested by me, because today here in England it's Remembrance Day, where we remember everybody who has given their lives so bravely, not just given their lives, but just given done something, in terms of war and battle and conflict, whether that be modern day wars or historical wars. We give thanks to all of those people. Jerusalem is a really fab way to start, isn't it? And did those feet in ancient time walk upon England's mountains green? Wonderful words by William Blake, of course, and music by Charles Hubert Hastings Parry. Crikey, guys, we do have so much to get through. As always, though, with us being live, you can, of course, make some super requests. The more super your requests are, the better. And incidentally, you can make them via the super chat function in the chat. Let me just get up my tab so I can keep an eye on what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're requesting. Right, so we're going to now go into a hymn, which you all know. Alleluia, sing to Jesus. But I've actually got a new arrangement of this. The tune is called Hifridol, as you all know. But one of our supporters, Robert Solarski, who I think he's in the chat, I did see him chatting earlier on, sent me a new sort of book, a compilation of last verse reharmonizations. And he's asked me if I could play this particular one. So I'm more than happy to oblige. So Alleluia, sing to Jesus, or whatever words you want to sing. But the tune is Hifridol. Let's go. Tuba engaged. What do you think to that new angle? I thought you might appreciate that, so I've actually got all of the stops lined up. The wonderful thing about this angle is these stops on the screen that you see right now are in exactly the same place as the stops that I see in front of me here. The physical stops are in exactly the same order. So if I just pull out some random stuff over on the grate, you can see all of that, and the tremulant up there. Tuba is over on the left, just sort of, oh, crumbs, that's, well, everything's there. Tuba is there, look. There it goes. You see, isn't that really cool how everything, so you can see exactly what I'm doing. If you want to go onto that screen more regularly, just give me a shout out in the chat and I'll switch it over to see what stops I'm pulling out. Robert, I hope that's okay, it's pretty cool. The modulation, Bill, you noticed it, the modulation is in the copy. You can't beat a little modulation, can you? It's brilliant. It really increases the excitement and the tension. The next request, and we need to keep moving, comes in from Johan, apologies for my pronunciation here, Ostlund. That's the English way of saying it, O-S-T-L-U-N-D. I think you were in the chat. I think I saw you chatting a minute ago. It is, let me just quickly go into my hymnal, How Marvellous God's Greatness. To the tune, come on, get in focus. It is Blomsterid, or Bloomsterid. I think it's Blomsterid. I think it's a Swedish tune. As Johan says, it's an extremely popular hymn in Sweden. Pretty every Swede knows it, even those who have never been in a church. Oh wow, okay. One of his favorites. It's a celebration of summer with when everything that has been dead becomes alive. So it's basically a celebration of life. As I say, it is how marvellous God's greatness, how glorious his might. To this the world bears witness in wonders day and night. I don't know whether we've had this before. I think we have had Swedish things before. I can't remember specifically whether we've had this one or not. Regardless, this is what it sounds like. Very pretty indeed, as a lot of people were agreeing. Very pretty. I think we did have it. I think it's in the Lutheran book that we did a few weeks ago. It does feel familiar. So, yeah, who was it? Someone mentioned the clarinet. Lewis, he said it was very pretty. When I was playing in we're in virtual Salisbury, by the way. Sorry, I should have mentioned we are using the Hauptwerk version of Salisbury Cathedral. It's very good. I was playing the real organ. Well, as most of you will know, I know that organ pretty well because hopefully you've all seen my Interstellar video by now. But I was actually playing there a week or two before recording that for a visiting choir. And I was playing the anthem, "Oh, Pray for the Peace of Jerusalem" by Herbert Howells. And at various points, at one particular moment, I just drew the clarinet. There it is. And actually, a few people afterwards, the service came over and said, "Oh, isn't that clarinet beautiful?" And it really is, isn't it? Actually, lower down in the register, can you hear how the register, the tone of the clarinet changes a bit lower down? As we go lower down, it actually becomes a bit more mellow, doesn't it? And the higher we get, it has a bit more colour. Must be a Willis way of voicing clarinets, I don't know. Oh, Robert! Wow, thank you very much, Robert. $150, that's incredible. Thank you very much. The community, the chat, have somehow come up with the name Ice Cube for these tokens which are dropping into the tip jar now. So they're actually not tokens, they're now ice cubes. So Robert, thank you for your ice cube. Don't blame me, blame everyone else. They came up with it. Let's go on. So as today is Remembrance Day, we need to have some hymns which celebrate this day. Celebrate the right word? I think celebrate the remembering of people, our forefathers. Guide me, O thou great Redeemer, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. We had this morning in Romsey Abbey, and the Abbey was absolutely packed, and everyone was singing really well. So, if you don't mind, I'm sure you won't, I'm going to play it like we are in a packed Romsey Abbey. And Romsey Abbey is big. It's big. I think it's one of the biggest parish churches in this country, actually. Anyone who's watching from England who knows which parish church is the largest in England, let me know. I'm going to say straight away, is it Beverley Minster? That's a parish church, and that's cathedral-sized. Guide me, O thou great Redeemer. I mean, we're not in Romsey. The organ at Romsey is very different to the organ of Salisbury. However, Romsey does have a very fine tuba. It's not quite as big as the Salisbury Cathedral organ. Tuba, but it certainly packs a punch. Neither does it have a 32-foot reed. But it does have a very effective trombone 16 in Romsey. I do actually, if you're ever in the area, if you're ever in Hampshire, I would highly recommend popping into Romsey to see the Abbey. You'll be blown away by its grandeur, by its size, by its beauty. And if you can, of course, come and hear the organ being played. I play it quite regularly. I play every Sunday morning. I play every Sunday evening. So if you are in the Abbey during the service and I'm playing, do come over and say hello. In fact, I did have a subscriber come over to me yesterday to introduce themselves. So thank you very much for that. Richard, wow. Richard Widdicombe, thank you so much for your $100. That's very generous. I also really like your avatar. You look like a very happy person with a very colourful tie. I like to see that. I like to see, in fact, I can see just below you, you've got Lewis Harvey, who's smiling away nicely, and Jerry Hall above you, who's smiling away. And you've got Doug. I can't quite see what Doug's doing, apart from posing next to a very flash organ. And then there's Nightbot. That's not Nightbot. In fact, look at Nightbot's avatar. It looks like he's shrugging. He's doing that. What's he shrugging for? And Bill Ratey's waving. And Dan Beeman for your $20. Thank you so much. So Robert, Dan, and Richard so far, thank you so much. It's so generous. So going on to our next request now, which has come in from John McVeigh, and it is "We limit not the truth of God." So we, starting with W, will be all the way at the bottom, and it's to the old 122nd tune. Let's have a look. Can I give you any more information than that? No, I can't. I can't tell you who wrote the tune, because it's just been cut off, unfortunately. We limit not the truth of God to our poor reach of mind, to notions of our day and place, cruel, partial, and confined. No, let a new and better hope within our hearts be stirred. O God, grant yet more light and truth to break forth from your word. I'll tell you what, let's use the great trumpet, which is just there, as a solo stop for verse 1. I'll put you on this stop screen, this one, so you can see exactly what I'm pulling out. Let's get some pedal stops. That often helps, doesn't it? Yeah, and let's see what this sounds like. So thank you very much, John McVeigh, for sending this one in. He says, "This beautiful hymn is based on the parting words of Pastor John Robinson to the Pilgrim Fathers." And this is what it sounds like. So I pretty much ended up with a lot of stops pulled out there, which, yeah, well, you know, as I finished, I looked over and I thought, there's a lot of stuff drawn out. Sometimes I'm a little bit greedy with my stops. But it's one of the good things about having all these physical stops, I can just pull them out. It's better to pull stops out than push them in, isn't it? Because if you push them in, it gets quieter. If you pull them out, it doesn't get quieter. Right. Oh, yes. Okay, right. So now we're going to have a piece of organ music. Well, actually, it's not organ music at all. It's it's an arrangement of an orchestral piece. And it's become known as the Elizabethan Serenade. It was written in 1951 by Ronald Binge. And it was originally called Andante Cantabile. But it became so popular and it became associated with positivity following on from the Second World War, because obviously the Second World War ended in the 40s, and then the Elizabethan age came in the early 50s, which brought with it new hope. And this piece was then retitled the Elizabethan Serenade. I think actually originally, very originally, it was called The Man on the Street. I think it was written for some play or a musical. So this was requested by Robert Stolarski, who requested this quite a long time ago, and we've had to work very hard to find the score. So I'm very grateful to Ken. I don't know whether Ken is in, for sending the score through. We actually put a shout out in a virtual church, possibly last week, asking if anyone has it, and someone has. So we found it. And I must admit, it's new to me, so I've had to sort of look at it and get it under the skin a little bit. So it's quite light, it's quite fluffy. Let's take off the diapasons. And let's see how we get on with this. So this is Elizabethan Serenade for Robert, who's been very generous. Which view shall we go to, I wonder? Let's go to this safe view. Don't know why, but the page turning function had disabled itself on Fourscore. Anyway, that was the Elizabethan Serenade there for Robert Salarski, composed by Robert Binge in 1951. It's quite pretty. I think it was originally written for orchestra, so it's been arranged there for org. Okay, let's zoom back into Remembrance Sunday now. I'm just going to pop in a hymn myself. This is not a request. This is a request from your host tonight. I vow to my country, to the tune of course, Thaxted by, as you all know by now, Gustav Holst. I vow to thee, my country, all earthly things above, entire and whole and perfect, the service of my love. Let's start it very quietly, and let's end in full glory. You know, a bit like last week, we were discussing Abide with Me, how it ends on a really positive note. Essentially, this hymn really reminds me of that. It ends with all her ways of, and soul by soul and silently her shining bounds increase. The word silent is in there. And her ways are ways of gentleness, and all her paths are peace. So you've got silent, gentle, and peace, which you might think, okay, so we need to end that on. If you were playing a psalm and you're adding colour in terms of accompaniment, you'd probably dive for the strings or some very quiet flutes at that moment. But I think in the context of the story, her fortress is a faithful heart, her pride is suffering, and soul by soul and silently her shining bounds increase. And her ways are ways of gentleness, no war, basically, and all her paths are peace. You know, peace be with you. I think it's a really positive ending, which just takes me back to, you know what I was saying last week about abide with me ending on a really positive note. Let me just get the words to abide with me. Heaven's morning breaks and earth's vain shadows flee. In life, in death, O Lord, abide with me. Positive ending, it's reassuring. So we're just going to now have a very quick interlude, almost like a little, what to call them, break at the cinema, if you want to go to the loo or something. A little intermission, that's it. But of course, you're not going to go anywhere, are you, whilst I play this little intermission? Because I'm going to play something totally appropriate for today. It is the Nimrod variation from the Enigma variations by Elgar, arranged for organ by William Harris. Okay, here we go. wonderful piece, isn't it? Very, very powerful, very poignant. So that was the, well, you know what it was. I don't even need to tell you again, do I? It was Nimrod variation from the Enigma variations. Right, so number 7 in our list is a request from Daniel Kubaki, who requested, O Son of God, Eternal Love. There we go. There it is, and it's to the tune Warrington, and it's from the NEH, and it's not a tune that I particularly know. I don't think this hymn is sung particularly regularly here in our country, with or without the NEH. So let's remind ourselves how it goes, shall we? Jerry, thank you very much, Jerry Hall, for your $20 just now. That's very kind, very kind. You might want to stay tuned, Jerry, for later. Paul says that it's very popular with the Methodists. That's good to know because it is a nice tune. It's by R. Harrison, whoever R is, I don't know. R. Harrison. It makes me wonder why on some of these hymn books, it happens in the NEH. The composers, it's very inconsistent. It might say R. Harrison, or it will give the full name. But for some it doesn't. Maybe they don't know what the R stands for. I don't know. O Son of God, eternal love, who came in mercy from above to bring to men the Father's grace and sanctify a ransomed race. So that was from Daniel Kubaki. So thank you for requesting that one, Daniel. Okay, and one appropriate for today. This one has a very military feel about it. It is Eternal Father, strong to save. And the tune is called Melita. I think we will have, for the first time tonight, do you mind getting me the you know what? The pink book. That would be good. We haven't had it yet tonight. Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arm was bound, the restless wave, who bade the mighty ocean deep, its own appointed limits keep. Oh, hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. So it doesn't take much to work out, thank you, who we might bear in mind, particularly during this. I think our naval friends. Eternal Father, to the tune Melita. That's a rather good hymn, that, isn't it? Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a favourite in my family.
Certainly is. Well, it's a favourite in this family.
Naval, so obviously it's a favourite.
Makes sense, doesn't it? What are the best army hymns?
There isn't really an army hymn, is there?
Don't know. Anything about tanks or... I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe people might know. Are there any RAF? Well, there's the... God is our hope and refuge.
But Melissa's been rewritten the words for the RAF.
Is it?
Yeah, you know.
What about helicopters and stuff?
No, wing something over land and sea, the last line.
Oh, right.
Yeah, definitely. It's been rewritten for the RAF, but the army don't seem to get a look in.
Well, are the army known for their singing?
Lewis Harvey suggests onward, Christian soldiers.
Yes, well, absolutely, yes. Marching as to war. So the next hymn, people should let us know, actually. That should be a question for the chat. We should find the ultimate hymn. We've got one for the Navy. Are there any other naval hymns? RAF, so Dam Busters, God is our hope and refuge.
Well, all the hymns, well,
are there any...
they that go down to the sea in ships. Is there a hymn set on that psalm?
Don't know. It might be paraphrased in the hymn. I wonder whether there are any army ones. So Lewis has given a good one already. But let's see through any more. So the next
Fight
hymn,
the good fight.
With All Thy Might. Carmen Foster has requested, Under His wings I am safely abiding, though the night deepens and tempests are wild. Still I can trust him, I know he will keep me, he has redeemed me, and I am his child. He says, this hymn invokes the Holy Spirit. Let's see if I've had a few more requests. I just want to say thank you to Gregory Potter, who's requested something. We'll have that later. Jerry Hall has said thank you for the Elgar. That's very kind. Thank you for $20. And Carmen, you've just given me 20. An encore of Love Divine or Love's Excellent. Okay, we'll have that later in the requests section. However, Carmen, you've got another request coming your way in a jiffy. Well, now, really. It's got an interesting chord on the third beat. Let's see what that chord sounds like. Where should we go? Let's go up to the top. I think I've just come up with an RAF hymn, at least. Under His wings, I am safely abiding. Could be a good one. Nice hymn, that. Thank you very much, Carmen, for requesting that. I didn't know that at all. I think it was meant to have sort of like 2 beats in a bar, wasn't it? Rather than the individual notes. So thank you very much for sending that one through. Okay, let's push on to...
Excuse me, just yawned.
All right, are we boring you? Sorry, you're not on camera or anything. No one can see you. Don't worry. You're in prime shot there. Where's your microphone? All the way down there. That's no good.
Why?
What do you mean why? What would the sound engineers say about all the way down there? It has to be near your trap, love.
If I unclip it now, it'll go really loudly.
Oh, we have to do it during the next hymn, which is going to be a hymn from our time stamper, Benjamin Yao. Come, sing my soul and praise the Lord.
Before you play Benjamin Yao's hymn, apparently the Parachute Regiment's tune is Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. It's quite fitting for jumping out of a parachute, isn't it?
You can see why we get her to sing regularly, can't you? With a voice like that, why wouldn't you? All right, come on, today's meant to be a very serious day. It's Remembrance Day.
The Parachute Regiment are serious.
I
think actually that opera's pretty serious.
What opera?
The Rem cycle from which it comes. Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Brunhilde.
Anyway.
It's serious. Definitely serious.
I don't know anything about the opera. I don't know anything about operas full stop.
Well.
I'm not an opera. Well, I don't know anything about it.
Deep stuff.
Anyway, come on. Let's push on. This is turning dangerously into waffle territory. Dear. Oh, well, come sing my soul and praise the Lord who hath redeemed thee by his blood, delivered thee from chains that bound and brought thee to redemption ground. And the refrain, redemption ground, the ground of peace, redemption ground, a wondrous grace. Here let our praise to God abound who saves us on redemption ground. It's coming from Ben Yao, and it's a very old copy, this. It's a very old hymn book. Well, look at the colour. Can you see that? It's just gone like sepia colour or brown. Faded old paper. Okay, I think I've worked it out.
My microphone must be positioned correctly because everyone can hear me and somebody heard Hugo coughing.
That was quite loud though. Great little tune there. Thank you very much, Benjamin, for sending it in. It was, "Come, sing my soul, and praise the Lord, who hath redeemed thee by his blood." I didn't see anyone who actually said that they knew that. Or did I miss it?
No, I didn't see much in the
I didn't
chat.
see that either. Perhaps it was an unknown entity, that one. So, quite nice. Then the refrain at the end was rather fun, wasn't it? With those ascending. And then again. Yeah, rather fun. So thank you very much, Benjamin, for sending that in.
Maurice is listening almost
Maurice.
horizontal on his very large sofa.
Yeah. Well, we've all seen that sofa, haven't we?
We have.
Because, Maurice, you have done a couple of things for BIS, of course, where you were lounging on your sofa with your very bright pink socks, I seem to remember. And also we saw your video with Jerry Martin, that very strange piece with a cowbell. What was it called? Was it rumba something, wasn't it? That was fun. So yeah, are you wearing your top hat still? I hope you are. Even if you're
and
not.
his tie with a question mark on it.
I didn't see that.
That was in the video.
I didn't see the tie.
That's such a good
I was just so
teacher's tie.
focused on the
I bet he used to wear that
hat.
when he was a music teacher. In exam season, that'd be so good, wouldn't it?
Tie with a question mark.
Tie with a question mark.
What is the question, though?
Well, that's the point. You know, did your teachers say to you in exams, "Read the question"? Did they used to say that? Read the question.
Yes, it's RTFQ, I seem to remember.
Oh dear.
Well, there was never any F in there when it was when I was at school. Anyway, the next hymn from Ben Wallace. Ben always sends in a hymn just moments before we go live, and I always print off the hymn requests here, and I always wait until Ben sends his request in before clicking print. And just like clockwork today, Ben sent in the cross of Christ I glory, towering over the wrecks of time," requesting the tune "Cross of Jesus," which is by John Stainer. The tune is called "Cross of Jesus." You'll all know this tune, I'm absolutely certain. It's a very well-known tune, this. And it comes from... Does this one come from the crucifixion?
Of course it does.
Yeah, I'm not getting confused, it does.
With different words, though.
What are the words? All for Jesus? No. What are the words to this?
Come back to me on that one.
Well, someone will beat you to it. Someone will know straight away. I can't think what the words are in the crucifixion out of this. I think they're not known, particularly well-known words, are they? I don't know. Here we go. So, "Cross of Jesus."
Yes, Ben Wallace, you're correct. Cross of Jesus, cross of sorrows. Those are the words in the crucifixion.
The clues in the title of the hymn, to be fair.
Well, yes.
I saw that and I thought, those are words? But I couldn't quite. There weren't enough words for me just to register what it is. Yeah. I knew someone. That's a good thing about
Oh yeah, a knick-knack in Advent. That's correct.
Yeah.
Come thou long expected
Yeah,
Jesus.
I knew that, but I knew that wasn't from crucifixion. So that's why I didn't say that. I knew that.
But that's a great Advent hymn, isn't it?
Oh, yes, fab.
It'll be coming up soon. It's going to be Advent soon, everybody. Get ready.
Get
It's
ready
going to be
for Advent.
exciting.
Wow, what's happening in Advent?
Well, always big hymns like Helmsley and Come Thou Long Expected Jesus and big stuff.
Well, but it's only a few weeks away, isn't it?
It is.
Right, so the next hymn is a first on BIS, and it's come in from, I don't recognise this person, so it's always good to have new people. Jeffrey Mayner, who says, this hymn reminds me of great times in high school. It is that sort of hymn. It's Jubilate, everybody. Serve the Lord in all your ways and, breath, come before his breath. Present singing, breath, enter now his courts with praise. It's by Fred Dunn. And this is really funky, this, so we'll have it twice, because it's basically just once through. I think you repeat it as often as you want to, really. But we'll have it a couple of times. We'll get this organ at Salisbury singing. Grooving, should I say. Get the organ grooving. You'll see what I mean.
I haven't heard that hymn for years.
It's a proper blast from the past, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, school hymn.
I've never heard it played on the tuba before either.
Well, there's a first time for we like to do things for the first time here in BIS. I like to sort of pave new paths so people can follow me. So even if that is playing this hymn on the tuba, you know, forever more now, it will always be played on the tuba, of course. Jeffrey, thank you very much. Are you in the chat? Is he in? Well, Jeffrey,
I don't know, actually.
You'll have to leave us a comment on the video. Hope that was suitably reminiscent or conjured up memories of your high school.
Do you know that hymn, Father Diego? Is that one that you sing in Argentina? I'd love it if you do.
It might be popular over there. You never know.
We'll have to find out.
Okay, so actually we'll have one more hymn from this section of VC. Then we'll go into today's top 5 hymns. My favourite part of VC is when I play your top 5 hymns, and I also read why you've chosen each particular hymn. So we'll have it after this hymn, which is another hymn from the collection which Robert Solarski has sent through to me. This time it's King's Fold. I heard the voice of Jesus say, "Come unto me and rest." So 3 verses of this awesome hymn called King's Fold. Well, that was a bit of a reharm there by the editor of this book. Let's have a look. Who is the person behind these? Jason Payne has done them. They make a change from Noel Rawson, don't they? They're rather fun. What I would say that in these, that the tune in the reharmonisation is buried in the harmony, but often when we do a Noel Rawson one or a McVeigh one, I try to keep the tune as much as I can on top. But because when you take away the tune, you're very trusting of the congregation that they know the tune and that they can carry it themselves. I mean, generally, you don't tend to reharmonise unknown hymns because it does throw people, but it's well-known hymns like that one or other hymns that tend to get reharmonised because people can lead themselves and they don't need all the sort of hand-holding from the organ. So thank you very much, Robert, for sending that PDF through. Got it on here, so it's safe in there, so we'll be enjoying those over the coming weeks. And did I just see something red on the screen?
Yes, from Robert.
Yeah, it's so generous. So thank you so much, Robert. Honestly, thank you so much for
Thank you
that.
for sending the hymns as well. It's
Yeah.
nice to hear some new arrangements.
Came out of the blue, so yeah, I really appreciate it. Okay, so now, yay.
Did you play,
marks the
it might have
end
been when we were upstairs,
of-
did you play Julian Goldring's request?
No, I haven't played Julian Goldring's request, no.
I thought he sent it through in the week.
Did he? It wasn't in the BIS request form.
Oh, really? Because interestingly, Peter Bray's just also asked for it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to play it after the top 5.
So I'll see if I can track it down.
We'll add it to the backlog of hymns to get through. So, here it is. Here's our top 5.
Do you want to do it now before the top 5?
No, I've just announced top 5.
Okay.
You have to keep it smooth and slick, these virtual churches. We have a high quality of production and flowing. And
Until Nala turns up.
Well, until you sort of say to stop and then do something else, which I've just
She
done.
nicked some lamb earlier when I was eating dinner.
I wondered why my lamb was so small.
Nala pinched some lamb.
Right.
She was not in the good books.
I can just imagine. Anyway, so let's go into our first hymn from tonight's top 5. So Jerry Hall is in the chat, I think. Certainly has been in the chat, chatting away.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's here.
So Jerry Hall sent in his...
He went to the barber this week with his BIS polo shirt on. And the receptionist, thought he was advertising BS.
Okay.
She didn't recognise the pipe.
Ah, the pipe in the middle. There it is. Look, it's quite clearly a pipe, isn't it? I think organists, we know what it is. It's quite obvious, isn't it? It's BIS, of course. Has anyone else got their BIS merch yet? Hands up, everyone who's got a hoodie, because we are getting into hoodie season now, t-shirt, or a polo shirt. This is my polo shirt. This is actually a bit big for me. This is a medium size.
I think it looks fine.
So this is actually a medium on me. I'm not particularly thin. So I need to get a few more. I'll get a small next time. beautyandsound.co.uk if you want to go and check it out. So you can also buy my arrangement of the Interstellar Suite, which is now on there for purchase. If you want to buy the PDF, you can. It's on beautyandsound.co.uk. So number 5 in Jerry's top 5 list. Here we go. Let's go. This is my favourite part. Let me just find it so I can get straight into it.
Scrolling
Well,
madly.
the problem is it's now got so big. There's so many in here that it's just like.
Can't you have a little handy search feature where you type the first couple of
Yeah,
letters?
well, yeah.
Is that possible?
It just doesn't.
It just builds the suspense. Jerry is so excited. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you're playing my list. Thank you.
Right, so here we go. Jerry says this at the very top. You have made it very hard to limit my favourites to 5. Then he writes, LOL. Here are my current top 5. By next time you ask, they'll probably differ. So yes, I imagine, Jerry, that you have a different top 5. But let's imagine that these are your ultimate laminated top 5 hymns. It's from the Methodist hymnal. This is apparently it is. This is a hymn, and I'm just redacting the title of the hymn there just to build up the suspense. This is a hymn that I learned as a single-digit youngster and was a favourite of my grandmother's. While it is not the most musically or poetically sophisticated hymn, it always pulls at my heartstrings because of the associations with my grandmother. I believe it needs to be played rather slowly and majestically, despite how it looks on the page. And it is, O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made. Or it's known as How Great Thou Art. And I completely agree with Jerry where he says it needs to be played rather slowly and majestically. I can do that, and so can Salisbury. Here we go.
Jerry was thrilled to get the tuba too.
I think it would be rude of me not to have used the tuba in that particular hymn.
Nala's turned up. She wants to hear Jerry's top 5.
Yeah, we all want to hear Jerry's top 5. Well, what's number 4 in Jerry's top 5? This is what Jerry says. This is a hymn I never heard of before I became part of the Anglican Communion. However, I have fallen in love with it since the very first hearing, and now can't imagine the lessons and carol service without this hymn. This hymn always fills my heart. Oh, sorry, I was jumping ahead there. I would love to hear a version where Caroline sings the first verse solo. Well, even though I can't give you that, Jerry, if you want to go and find Caroline singing this, you can on various previous Christmas videos on BIS.
You never know, this Christmas we might do it again.
The video that I did from St Edmundsbury Cathedral starts with Caroline singing this the first verse. So it is, once in Royal David's City. 3 verses, including the David Wilcox descant, of course. In fact, let's make a sound for verse 1, which sounds like Caroline.
Are you going to be mean?
No, never mean. Of course not. Wouldn't do that, would I? No, not me. Squeaky swell boxes. Okay, so let's all imagine now Caroline singing verse 1. Once in Royal David's City, number 4 in Jerry's list, of course, with the essential last verse there by David Wilcox.
Oh, I was just thinking, do the Americans decorate their houses early because of Thanksgiving?
Possibly.
Because Josh says,
Yeah.
I need to decorate my house too, so I just wonder whether... Because we don't normally start till December here, but I guess...
Right, so the next hymn is... and I hope this is the right hymn, Jerry. I'm sure it is. But it's Lauda Anima. If you use the hymnal 1982 version, you will get both the alternative harmonisation as well as a descant on the last verse. So actually, could you...
The 82? I can see it. I just have to move Nala so she won't be pleased.
I thought I had a hymn book to hand actually where... So whilst Caroline finds it in 1982, Jerry says, he continues to say, so it's always been one of his favourite hymns. I would love it if Caroline could do the descant on the last verse. Well, again, we're not going to have that today. This hymn always warms my heart. I'm not exactly sure why, but it does. So it is, praise my soul, the King of heaven, to his feet thy tribute bring. Let's have a look, see what goes on in
a bit
here.
of page turning.
Oh yes, there's a descant look. No, it's all right.
Oh, it's not the same one as the one in NEH.
No, well,
It's different.
I'll leave that one open there, and we'll have. Yes, we'll just see what happens. The music is by John Goss.
You can come back, Nala, now.
This is number 3 in Jerry's list.
Nala, come back.
She's causing chaos. What a smashing descant that is. Who wrote the descant to that one? Oh, C.S. Lang of fame. Yeah, that was a C.S. Lang
Oh, you have to play the
descant.
tuba tune now.
And if someone wants it, they can have it. So that was number 3 in Jerry's list. Good so far, I think you'll all agree. Number 2 in Jerry's list is quite a famous one here on BIS.
Nala's swishing her tail in
Oh
anticipation.
yes,
She can't
Nala's getting
wait.
excited about it all. So, what does Jerry say about number 2 in his top 5 list? This is one of the first hymns I ever fell in love with. As a beginner organist, I was baffled for years by the migrating pedal line. It is rather busy. And it was only after I finally mastered it that I began to love this hymn even more. I wish we had more than one chance to sing it per year. It is for all the saints who from their labours rest. Obviously, it's All Saints' Day hymn. Music is by Ralph Vaughan Williams, and the music is called Sine Nomine. And this is the one where Nala made herself very comfortable sitting on my lap
2 years ago.
a couple of years ago whilst I was playing this very hymn.
On your old organ.
But she's found a new, better, softer, warmer lap for this one. So, for all the saints who from their labours rest. For all the saints who from their labours rest. Tune Sine Nomine, music by Ralph Vaughan Williams, requested there by Jerry Hall, who put this at number 2 in his top 5 list. Incidentally, the picture on this screen that's harder than it looks. That's everything's backwards. Is Salisbury Cathedral. So that is the organ that you're listening to, and that picture was taken by me when I went over to record John Challenger earlier in the year for his astonishingly good Easter organ recital, and that's the picture that I chose to use for my Interstellar soundtrack.
And it's really appropriate that you're playing Jerry Hall's top 5 on Salisbury, because Jerry's church choir from Indianapolis, America, were the visiting choir at Salisbury Cathedral last year.
Yeah.
So Jerry sung in that very space, accompanied by that very organ.
The very organ.
Quite recently, really.
So Jerry, what's your impression of the organ? And is this representation of the organ, the Hampwork version, is it what you remember? I think more interestingly for me, the way I've recorded the organ, the way I've captured it, does it sound anything like what you remember? I hope so. I do know that John Challenger, the organist there, is he rather likes the way it sounds on the recording, so that's high praise. If the resident organist says that it sounds good, then I think you've achieved it. In fact, I was recording at, a lot of you will know I was recording at Blackburn Cathedral just recently, and there's an organ there very similar to what Gloucester Cathedral was, and John Hosking, who gave me the recital, I gave him a very early edit of a very short snippet of music, and he said that early edit is the best he's ever heard anyone capture the organ. So that's really reassuring that the sound that I've managed to capture is, I guess, true to life. So that's coming in December, by the way. But before we get to the Blackburn recital, we need to play Jerry's number 1.
No, I can't wait.
It's a banger. It really is a banger. This is what he says. This is one that I had never heard until joining the Anglican Communion. However, knowing the history behind this hymn and how this was composed in memory of Howells' son makes my heart not only swell with sorrow, but also with gratitude that Howells was able to distill his sorrow into such beautiful music. So the tune is called Michael, and the words are, we have this hymn fairly regularly here in BIS, and rightly so. All my hope on God is founded. He doth still my trust renew. This is one of the hymns that we had at Hugo's christening. So Hugo knows this hymn. And for the final verse, we will have Howells' own reharmonisation, and it's quite out there, but it's his own.
Jerry asked for this.
The descant.
The Howells reharm.
No, I don't think so.
That's a McVeigh choice.
He's getting a bit more than he bargained for. There we go. So that takes us to number 1 in Jerry's top 5. So we had at number 5, How Great Thou Art. Number 4, Once in Royal David City. Number 3, Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven. Number 2, For All the Saints Who From Their Labours Rest. And number 1, All My Hope on God Is Founded. The tune Herbert Howells and words by Robert Bridges. So if you would like to send in your top 5 hymns, just like Jerry has done, and just like all the other people have done it over the past few weeks, send it through to virtualchurch@beautyandsound.co.uk and just give me a couple of sentences that I can read out to make it good English. That often helps. It helps me because I struggle with reading at the best of times. Give me the reason why you've chosen those hymns. It doesn't need to be your absolute, all-time favourite hymns, full stop, forevermore, amen. It can just be what you're feeling right now. You might be in a particular frame of mind where these 5 hymns are doing it for you just now. But then at Christmas, you might think, I want these Christmas carols as my top 5. Doesn't matter. It's whatever you're feeling right now. As long as you have 5 good reasons, that's the important and interesting thing.
Thank you, Katrina, for your donation. Actually, Katrina, you sent in your top 5 a little while ago, and we haven't played it yet because we've had trouble finding some of them because we don't have the hymn book, I think, that many of your top 5 hymns came from. So we haven't forgotten you, because I know you sent yours in the first wave. We haven't forgotten you. We're just trying to compile the hymns and get them together.
Yeah, we'll definitely get through them all.
Just so you know, we haven't forgotten.
No, we will get through them all, yeah. So, but keep sending them through, definitely. And yeah, as Caroline just said, thank you, Katrina, very much for your $50. Thank you very much. That just now. That's very kind. Right, so Caroline, so where do we go?
So, can you open the emails?
So who've we got?
There's one that came in during the week. Can you open the emails, please? The Richard.beautyandsound account. There is a high quality scan in there from Julian Goldring that came in on during the week. When did it come? Where's my Outlook? This was requested. It came in on the 11th of November. So what was that? Was that yesterday? No, Friday. We found it. There you go. And this was also requested tonight by Peter Bray, who I think used to be in the Territorial Army or was an Army Reservist volunteer.
Okay.
And he asked, Richard, could I suggest this hymn for Remembrance Sunday? I cannot locate it in any hymn book. Kind regards, Julian Goldring.
Yeah, well, I found it on my email, but I don't know what the words are apart from "O valiant hearts, who to you glory come." I don't have any more words than that, unfortunately.
Okay.
So somebody could be so kind as to put the words in the live chat, and we can all see what the words are. Just a quick shout out to Josh Wilson, who is helping me, telling me that the audio and video is good, and keeping a track of the requests as well. So if you have any issues, please let Josh Wilson know. He's got a spanner next to his name. He's one of the mods. One of the moderators, so he's keeping control of things. So thank you very much, Josh, for your help. So yeah, let's. O valiant hearts,
who to your glory came through dust of conflict and through battle flame. Tranquil you lie, your knightly virtue proved, your memory hallowed in the land you loved. And then it goes on. There are quite a lot of verses actually, 7 verses. So perhaps you might.
We'll have 3 verses. We'll just have 3 verses tonight, and this is what it goes like. The tune is called, not sure, doesn't say. It says
The Supreme Sacrifice.
Is that what it's actually called?
Yeah.
Okay, it's called The Supreme Sacrifice. fabulous tune. We have had that before. As soon as I started playing it, I knew what it was. And someone said about, was it played outside the cenotaph?
Yes, I think so.
Was it really? It doesn't really strike me as a sort of hymn that would be. Only because it's not Have Only Your Hearts. Was I dreaming? I'm sure someone said that.
Well, someone said it was played in Canada.
Oh, yeah. I've lost the where it was now. Right, so what is it? Praise to the Living God to the tune Leone, which comes in from Gregory Potter. Let's see if we've got that.
Well, oops, I nearly just fell over an adapter.
Is that Leone? Oh, it's the yes, that tune. But the words here are different. How many verses shall we give you? I think 3 verses. We have some. Have quite a few to get through.
Always hear this on the Remembrance Day ceremony from Ottawa in Canada, apparently.
Yeah, it feels like sort of at that side of the Atlantic, rather than this side. That hymn. I don't know. Was it done in London? I've never heard it done in London before.
I think it's quite well known over here as well. I think.
Oh. It's obviously passed me by.
David Miller says it's instrumental at the Cenotaph.
Oh.
There you go, David Fletcher. It's always played by the massed bands in London at the Cenotaph, so not sung. Just
right. Okay. Well, that's probably why I've not heard it. I heard it recently anyway. So, so what is this one then?
This is from Gregory Potter.
Praise to the Living God to the tune Leone from Gregory Potter. Thank you very much for your 1999, Gregory. That's very kind. And it's to the tune Leone, which the words here are the God of Abraham praise.
4 verses for this iteration.
What's next? I need to know what's next.
Blind Vern. Do you fancy playing Bridge, Adagio and Eeks? Ben Wallace just super chatted it.
Yeah, I can do.
Okay, I'll
Who's requested Blind Vern?
Carmen Foster.
Interestingly, actually, if I go back to the stops screen, on the real organ, you actually have more stops than this. So in the middle here, above the fourth manual up here, are all, on the Hauptwerk version, are all the couplers, like tabs. If I go to, maybe if I go to this screen, yeah, look, you can see them all there. So all of those buttons on the top there are actually not on the real organ. They don't exist on the real organ. I don't know why they're there. All of those couplers are underneath the respective division. So the great has the usual choir to great, solo to great, swell to great, but then it has swell 4 to great, swell 16 to great, solo 4 to great, solo 16 to great. It just adds loads of stops underneath. So all of those stops are in red on the real organ, which actually they are on mine. Can you see those? If I take it off, it says sub-octave. They're in red. It's quite a common thing here in England to have the couplers, i.e. the non-speaking stops, as red. In France, on the French clavicle organs, or French organs I guess, the red stops are often the reeds and are controlled by what are called ventils. So if you don't have the ventil, I'm not going to get into this today because it's a bit techie, but essentially if you don't have the ventils enabled on the French organs, the red stops won't sound. So you need to enable the ventil for the red stops or the reeds to sound. Right, so I know where we're going next, and I know you know where we're going next because you heard us talking about it. We're going to go into a request from Carmen.
Yeah, why were the mics open? Was it because you were on the stop view?
So because I wanted to catch you out, that's why.
Oh, we were being very professional. I was telling you how many verses to play.
I'll say, what's next?
And asking me if you wanted to play Bridges, Adagio, and I can't find it. I've picked up.
You've got it.
No, it's the wrong same colour. Wrong.
No, it's in there. It's the second piece in there.
Oh, is it?
Nala's questioning the expensive chair.
Nala.
No, yeah, don't just say Nala. Get her off. Get her off. She's got a clause in.
Come on, Nala.
It's all right. It's on the iPad. It's on the iPad.
Oh, after all that.
Well, you could have asked.
Well, no, because the mics were open, so I didn't ask.
Carmen Foster has sponsored Love Divine and Love's X7.
Look, I have to put up with. She's nicked my seat now. Look.
It's not it's your fault for getting up and making it warm and leaving it.
I'm working.
Leaving it vulnerable to
working.
prying cats.
Has kept and guided.
We haven't got Lord for the Years in my hymnal. I know that because we had it this morning at Romsey, and I thought I'd be clever and use it from the iPad, but I didn't have it. But I remember what number it was in the hymn book, so I've gone straight to it. Knick-knack, you've requested, Lord, for the years your love has kept and guided. Thank you for your 10. That's very kind. Ian Garden as well. Thank you very much. I was in your home turf earlier in the week. That was
I've
rather
already
fun.
told him it makes an absolute racket.
Well, Ian knows all about it.
To be fair, I was listening to the climax of John Hosking's improvisation, which was probably the loudest moment of the whole recital.
I just said, basically said, just give me an improvisation from piano to loud. And when you tell John Hosking to play loud, it's like all those Christmases come at once, basically.
I only heard it on an iPhone speaker, but you just knew.
You hear through all the distortion, yeah.
Well, not distortion, but you could just tell it was absolutely, it was a racket.
It's mental. It is. It's absolutely mental.
Do your congregation members not sue you for loss of hearing?
Yeah. Sorry?
Exactly.
Right, here we go. Lord, for the years, to the tune. Right, I never quite worked this out. The words are, Lord, for the years, your love has kept and guided, by the wonderful writer of hymns, Timothy Dudley Smith. But the tune is called Lord of the Years. Anyway, so...
Is that by Barnard? Is it a Barnard one?
No. Well, the last verse is going to be by John Barnard. But the music is by Michael Bowen.
Nala's back. She spent the last hymn on the organ bench and she's back now.
Can't keep away from you. You know what she's like. We also had that one at Romsey Abbey this morning. I had a few hymns today that we had at Romsey. It feels like I'm just, started the day playing those hymns, and I've ended the day by playing the same hymns. It's like an incredible sense of deja vu. Are we up to date with the hymn requests now?
We are. That concludes the hymn requests for today.
Cool. In that case, then, we have actually one more pre-requested hymn to play. And this comes in from somebody called Aussie Dog 123. Which is amazing, all these screen names, isn't it? And he says, could be a girl, I don't know. My friends love when I play the national anthem on my school organ, but I am only a beginner, so it would mean so much for me to hear it played by a pro. Well, we better go and find a pro then.
Nala's here, fear not.
Aussie Dog, 1, 2, 3. Shouting,
Nala's
Aussie Dog, 1, 2, 3. Are you in, Aussie Dog? Aussie Dog, are you there? I don't think you are there. If you are watching back, please leave me a comment on the video.
It's a school night. Aussie Dog might be in bed.
Well, how's he go, by the way? Is he still in bed?
Yeah, he's on his back.
He hasn't broken out yet. So he's asked for the national anthem. God save our gracious King. So we'll have the fanfare, Gordon Jacobs fanfare, going into this, and then we'll go straight into the Frank Bridge, Adagio in the E, which is actually one of my favourite. Those people who are thinking, no, I don't know that. This is I think one of my absolute favourite pieces of English organ music. That's how good I think it is. So I'd recommend sticking around for the Adagio in E. It's been requested by Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace has excellent taste. So Ben wouldn't request a clanger.
A clanger. Do clangers exist in the organ repertoire?
Oh yes. I'm not going to name any names, any pieces, but there are certainly some clangers around, aren't there? They know that there are some clangers. So, Gordon Jacob...
Well, some of your clangers are some of their favourites, so...
Well, it's all relative, isn't it?
The less said, the better.
All down to personal perspective, personal taste. Let's get the reeds. Ready? Let's imagine all of those... what would they be called? What are they called?
I'm not sure.
Those long...
Peter or one of the
I don't know what
army...
they're called, actually.
Expert army people can tell us. The trumpeters, anyway.
Bugles? No, not bugles, are they?
No, they're not buglers. No,
Like fanfare trumpets. So, I don't know what they're called.
I don't know what they are.
Anyway, so trumpets, trombones, tubas and all sorts of things play this fanfare, and it's by Gordon Jacob, and we'll have one verse... no, we'll have two verses of...
Oh, they are fanfare trumpets.
Of our national anthem. And just before I change the camera angle, the open wood on the pedal down here is not as big as a lot of organs have. So if you go into somewhere like Winchester or Westminster Abbey, the open wood on the pedal can really drive the congregation in hymn singing. And it really underpins the entire organ with lots of, basically it's a big subwoofer. But on the Salisbury organ, it actually doesn't drive, have as much presence in the building as some of the other, some of its counterpart open woods. So that open wood with the double open diapason. Often I've seen John Challenger, when he's playing pieces, bring those two on, and then goes to the open two, and then goes down to the open bass like that. This one, the open diapason number 1 in the cathedral, is really big. It's much bigger than it sounds on here. But that isn't. It just adds the right amount of bass to a full swell sound. Well, there we go. So how long have we been broadcasting for? 2.5 hours. We've had a really great selection of hymns tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for doing that. What I'd like you to do, I forgot to ask you this just before I played the national anthem and this voluntary. I was going to ask you what your favourite hymn was out of the entire selection tonight. So, could you have a think about it and then perhaps leave it as a comment underneath the video after we've finished? Let me know what your favourite hymn or organ piece was tonight. We've had quite a lot, so it's been a lot of fun, lots to choose from. Thank you to Jerry Hall for sending in a really brilliant top 5. Don't forget to send me your top 5 if you want me to read your best grammar in my own quirky and unique way, and then send them through to virtualchurch@beautyandsound.co.uk. Thank you to everyone who's donated tonight. It's all going into the BIS safe. Don't worry, not spending it on lavish holidays or posh restaurants. It's all going back into BIS. So thank you, Jim, for your $10. Hearing you are wonderful pieces tonight. That's always the best thing about virtual church, isn't it? You hear a lot of new stuff, new and quality music. Ian Garden for your goal, £20, thank you very much. Jim, another 20, another 10. That's very kind, thank you. Nick Knack, and yeah, we've been through. Thank you to everyone who's donated. It's always really, really appreciated. If you haven't already, please go and watch my Interstellar video. It's a video that I'm particularly proud of. I've worked very hard on this one, advertised it a lot, and would really appreciate your feedback on that. Give it a watch. It lasts 15 minutes, and I really appreciate your feedback on that. I'm really proud of it. It feels like it's, BIS has gone on a journey since being formed in 2017, and the Interstellar video that was broadcast last night is like a flag in the sand. Everything that we've learnt and discovered and obtained, up until this point, that's like an exam. It's like the final exam after all of those years. The Interstellar is my exam. It's my thesis. It's the best I can do at this point in time. In another 5 years, perhaps, you will look back and think that looks so amateurish. But at the moment in time, that is the best I can possibly do. So go and give it a watch. Right, good night, everyone. You guys all take care. You all stay safe. And I will see you all next week at Virtual Church. We are getting very close to Advent, so I'll be starting to advertise the Advent sort of stuff coming up very soon. Very exciting stuff indeed. I'm going to be over that side of the house, you can't see it, over there, which is where my studio is, editing John Hosking's recital from Blackburn. So I'm going to have to, next time you see me, I'll be completely deaf. So I'm going to start putting that together for broadcast in December, because it's a Advent and Christmas recital that he gave. And a really fantastic one it is. So, take care everyone, stay safe, and cheerio.